Alright, so I'm on my way to do another bee removal that y'all will see shortly, but for the next part of this little drive and talk series, we talked about the Langstroth hive, why it's designed the way that it is, and so now I want to talk about the individual components of the hive. Now I'm not going to get into the more detailed components like pollen traps and stuff like that, just the real basics. So starting from the ground up, you've got your bottom board. Reversible bottom board, most typical. On one side you've got a 3/8 inch gap, and if you flip it over you've got a 3/4 inch gap. And the reason being for that is that in colder climates you can flip that board over to help narrow down their entrance, help keep drafts out of the hive, and then when it warms up you can flip it over to a 3/4 inch gap and get better airflow into the hive, and of course better bee flow as well for a big honey flow. You can do solid bottom boards, screen bottom boards. Personally down here in Houston, you know, it gets pretty hot and pretty humid. I run solid bottom boards all the time, and I never flip them. I always keep them on the 3/4 inch slot. The only time I'll do anything pertaining to even narrowing an entrance is late fall, when it gets, you know, pretty aggressive for resources. Some of your smaller, weaker colonies can actually get robbed out by bigger colonies, and so I'll tighten their entrance down then and just put a stick or something in front of it just to close it up so they can defend it a little better. But you know, nothing real fancy on the bottom boards. The screen bottom boards you can do for better ventilation, but more importantly they're for integrated pest management. So you put on your screen bottom board, and then you can put an oil pan or a Varroa sticky board or whatever you want underneath of it to try to capture any, you know, small hive beetles or Varroa mites that might fall through the screen and onto the board or into the oil pan. The screen should be typically a 1/8 mesh or a 1/6 mesh, something like that. Something small enough the bees can't get through it, but the pests can fall through it. That's about it for bottom boards. You can do a just solid bottom board where you don't have a slot if you want, so just like a piece of plywood on the bottom, but you need to shim it at least a little bit, because or else your frames aren't going to hang high enough off the bottom space. The common space between the bottom of a frame and the bottom of a solid bottom board is I guess it'd be about 1 inch, and that's one of the rare cases where you can pretty easily violate bee space, and it doesn't seem to matter. The bees don't tend to make a mess of combs down there in that inch wide gap. They tend to just use that space to cluster up. So that's it on the bottom board. Moving up into your boxes, well, I'll tell you what, we'll just cut this video on just the bottom board. We'll make separate videos on each component, because that way it won't go too long. So that's the bottom board for you.